I've watched a lot of game theory over the years. Well, I used to. But ever since MatPat's retirement back in March of 2024, the channel just hasn't felt the same. When you remove the soul of a channel, its identity, people become disconnected from your work and a lot more critical of your mistakes, which can be seen very clearly with their most recent theory on Deltarune, which got absolutely torn to shreds by the community. And I want to find out why. So I sat my ass down with my okay understanding of the lore to find out, how bad could this theory really be? What? The yellow kid. So, game theory, what is Sans? I'm gonna try to look at this as objectively as I can. Try to see if I can get most of my facts right and call out whenever they make a mistake while watching the video. And at the end, I wanna rank the video on a 1 through 10 scale based on 3 factors: quality, research, and enjoyability. I'll talk more about what those 3 categories mean at the end of the video. For now, don't forget to like and subscribe. You don't want to miss out on my content before I retire. And since this is about the funny skeleton man, oh god, no, hold on, it'd be fitting to have him on screen for this one. Let's get into this.
Was MatPat right about Sans? For years, he was mocked by the community for his infamous Sans' nest theory. However,
this is true.
The release of Deltarune Chapter 5, Sans is once again back in the spotlight, and it seems to imply that Matt may have been onto something all those years ago.
Okay, so immediately, it looks like they're gonna bring up the Mother One breadcrumbs. I don't remember the Sans' Nest Earthbound theory, but I am curious to see how they tie in a MatPat theory from 10 years ago into the modern Deltarune lore.
Welcome to Game Theory.
Hi, Tom.
That has a lot more to say about Deltarune Chapter 5.
Okay.
If you missed our last
Let's
video,
see it.
we mostly covered the main route of the game, talking about Chris's father Asgore, his involvement in the old Dark World, how the Dark World is what turned Des into the night, and how that's forecasting the potential fate of Susie, as she too is beginning to spend a little too much time in the Dark World. However,
I guess, yes. I mean, Susie is definitely lost in fantasy. The whole conversation she and Gerson had during their fight kind of implies that she wants to rewrite history. She doesn't like how in chapter 6 everything ends and then the creator got lost in their own creation. She wants to pick up the pen of hope and see if she can make this ending better. Technically not wrong.
Last video, I said this. Now, I don't have time to do a deep dive into the weird roots or the connections it has with Sans and Gesta right now. Well,
unfortunately, because you guys have like this strict weekly upload schedule that you adhere yourself to, I'm curious to see if they're gonna bring up anything from the newsletter due to how I'm assuming the production process occurs with these videos. If maybe they wrote the whole script, did half the editing, newsletter comes out, and they're like, ah, shoot, this would have been helpful to include. What can you do?
Now, I do have time for it. And it turns out we may have been more right about Sans than anyone ever suspected. Deltarune just didn't exist to give us the full answer. And it's all because of the alternate route that you can take in Deltarune, which has been dubbed the Snowgrave or Weird route. This route started all the way back in Chapter 2, where Chris can take their childhood friend Noelle through the city and start pushing them to become more violent towards the monsters. In each
gotta proceed.
chapter, we've been given the choice to continue this path, continuing to manipulate Noelle and force her to become stronger, leading to a little red dot appearing on the screen that says thank you.
I wonder how they're gonna interpret this. Yeah, continue.
We previously theorized that this is Noelle's soul growing, similar to the soul Chris holds within their chest.
Yeah, I mean, again, we can't know for sure what the red dot is supposed to be. I definitely like the idea that we took a piece of the soul and injected it into her, giving her meta awareness and even maybe a second vessel that we can access in Chapter 7. But we don't know yet now, do we?
It's her heart and her will to make decisions that has grown. We believe the goal of this was to make Noelle the second hero of the prophecy instead of Susie, as we see the image of a girl in a robe with a heart that says love finds its way to the girl. Love being levels of violence, a measure used in Undertale. But as I've alluded to, the connections to Undertale don't stop there, because even though Chapter 5's weird route is super short, Chris and Noelle's actions as well as Sans' appearance confirm so much about the foundation of Deltarune, its future chapters, and how Sans ties everything together. All will be revealed as we follow the trail of breadcrumbs that's being left for us loyal theorists. I just hope you don't mind getting a little wet. Chris and Noelle slowly drown. Suddenly, screen goes black and text appears that says,
I guess
Insert Chapter 7, Side B.
Okay, so we have been doing nothing but exposition for the last 3 minutes. What is the theory?
And that's it. That's the end of chapter 5. We skipped over the entirety of the chapter and even chapter 6. You don't even get to go
fudge
to the
that
dark
chapter.
world and hang out with my boy Flowery. But despite the
This
weird
thing
route being
is-
so short, the limited interactions you do have reveal a lot. In this route, the festival has already ended, but there is one character still standing around waiting for you. Sans.
Sansy
In both routes,
boy!
when you find him, Sans asks Susie to draw her friends on a punch card. In the normal route, she doesn't specify who she draws, but based on the fact that Noelle is standing right there, it would make sense for Susie to be drawing Noelle in this image alongside herself, Chris, and Ralsei.
Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Sorry. Tom, hold on just a second. Can I do it? I've never sneezed in this room before. Please! No! This is the 5th time! Oh my god, I can't fucking sneeze in this room! Anyway, what were we doing again? Right, this, the freaking,
it would make sense for
lore
Susie to
theory.
be drawing Noelle in this image alongside herself, Chris, and Ralsei. However, in the weird route,
4.
she specifically calls out that it's just her, Chris, and Ralsei.
Wait, what? What are you talking
Be
about?
drawing Noelle in this image alongside herself, Chris, and Ralsei. However, in the weird route, she specifically calls out that it's just her, Chris, and Ralsei. This is where we get to the part I spoke about in the last episode, because long-time Undertale fans know if you go to the secret lab in Undertale, you will find a poorly drawn picture of 3 smiling people, and underneath is written the words, "Don't forget." Sans drawing in Undertale specifically calls out 3.
Yeah, but in the normal route, we still draw 3 people. This isn't true. Hold on, wait. I want to prove that I'm not crazy. Look like you qualify for a punch card. Oh my god, it's a reaction and a reaction. Not much. Just take this marker and draw your friends on here so I'll remember you. Okay, draw your friends. So like not also herself. I feel like that'd be a pretty egotistical thing to do. Sans is asking you to draw your friends. You put yourself on there too? Hey, here's my reaction.
No!
Good times.
No!
Huh? Ralsei said that ice cream was from him? Hey. You know that means I gotta draw him on too. How's this? Perfect. Okay, that is implying that Susie added Ralsei. So in tandem, who are Susie's literal only friends in this game? Well, would you look at that? Noelle, Chris, and Ralsei. Let's draw a little Ralsei. Hold on. You guys look, it's Ralsei. Oh god, what have I done? But yeah, I remember when chapter 5 came out, I was just like doom scrolling on Twitter and I saw people debating the amount of people that Susie drew on the card being between 3 and 4. So I'm assuming they just looked at some Twitter thread or something that was debating that and they took it verbatim. Not the best, Tom. Really not the best. All you have to do was just check the text in the game. It's pretty obvious that she didn't write down herself, but you know,
Smiling
whatever.
people. So this is implying that the drawn picture from Susie is the same one from Undertale, and that it's specifically the one from the weird route.
No.
It's also worth mentioning that this interaction with Sans in the weird route is mandatory, but the one in the normal route is actually just optional.
What? Huh? Tom, have you played the game? Tom or your 5 ghostwriters, whoever the hell wrote this script? Guys. Okay, I'm going off memory here, but doesn't Susie say it herself? Let's go get ice cream before we go to the lake. That is something that she says verbatim when you're doing the festival in the light world. Guys, come on.
Sans is well known as a bit of a multiversal being given his interactions
PK
in Undertale,
Thunderstorm.
but Sans holding onto this note from the weird route means that this is the canon route of Deltarune. Not just a fun alternative, but the way it's supposed to go. Noelle?
It's not. Guys, there's one ending for... We'll rip that guy. Toby had planned from the get-go one ending for this game. He added a question mark to the Steam page for one ending because the way that we're gonna get to that ending is so drastically different depending on what you do in the game that it's practically different endings that all lead to the same outcome. But whatever, they've already messed up this one thing and it's going to domino effect the rest of this theory into no man's land. Everything from here is gonna be wrong because they think that the weird route is the objectively canon route.
Choosing violence is how Deltarune ends. But then Sans does something else that's even more interesting. Just before we...
Like, I can also see where they're coming from because of the whole, like, oh, Sans brings up when you fight him in Genocide, like, oh, I know your type, and the whole timeline jumping. I could see how they came to this conclusion. It's just they're wrong.
head to the lake to meet Noel. He says he's run out of ice cream and instead gives us bread. Just bread. This does not feel
now
like
they're gonna bring up
equivalent
the Mother
exchange,
One
my friend.
stuff.
Although we are getting it for free, so maybe I shouldn't question it. Regardless, it feels like a super strange gift until you read the description. A loaf of bread tends to leave crumbs wherever it goes. Sans giving us this bread is purposefully designed to have us leave a breadcrumb trail.
He
Now,
just went. He jumped off my
immediately
monitor to
alarm
go
bells
after
were
them
going
in the
off
depths.
Because this is actually an item in Earthbound.
Oh!
You use bread to make breadcrumbs that can
Okay,
teleport the planet.
this isn't Earthbound. Is the breadcrumbs an item in Earthbound? This is Mother One, guys. Why are you showing it on a Switch 2 without the border? This is not what the Switch 2 screen looks like. You got rid of the freaking bevel, bro.
To the location where the
God damn it.
breadcrumbs began, or if that area no
Here,
longer...
I can prove it right now. Hold on. Here, look at this, right? I'll use the lovely title screen of Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. Look at the two screens. Look at them side by side. What the guy? What, guys? It's not that hard. Edit it properly. It looks stupid. It looks stupid. It looks edited in. The most random thing to be upset about, I know, but like, come on, man.
exists, it sends you out of bounds.
Like, he brings up Earthbound and he shows us Mother One on a on a fake Switch 2 screen.
Sans' Ness confirmed in the big 2026, everybody.
Ness isn't even in Mother One.
Yeah, of course, I'm kidding. Well, kinda. Sans isn't really connected to Ness or Earthbound, but it does finally give us an explanation for Sans and where he actually came from.
And anyway, like Deltarune has way more inspirations from Mother 3 than Earthbound. Let alone, oh, it's the same character.
During your dinner date
We're not,
with
okay,
Sans-
I'm assuming they're gonna bring up MatPat's theory in the future. I don't remember what he said. I don't remember what his reasonings were for the skeleton being the PK Fire guy, but we'll get to it, right?
Tale. He says that Frisk must really want to go home and that he knows the feeling, buddo. And during the genocide route, he tells us, look, I gave up trying to go back a long time ago. And getting to the surface doesn't really appeal anymore either.
Yeah, that I agree with. This I agree with. The whole concept that he came from Deltarune before Undertale. Yes.
Communicating that going back is one option and returning to the surface is another. Meanwhile, the snowed-in shopkeeper talks about how Sans and Papyrus showed up one day and asserted themselves. Combine this with the fact that Sans can bleed, something which characters in Undertale cannot do.
But Lighteners can. I find it interesting how in Undertale, the Grillby's shop is completely untampered with. Like the big sign just says Grillby's, right? But in Deltarune, he scribbles out Grillby's, leaves the S, and just writes Sans, which kind of implies that, you know, the Undertale came before the Deltarune, but it also kind of implies that they were somewhere else before Deltarune. That, out of anything, is probably what confuses me the most about the whole Sans came from Deltarune and then went to Undertale. That, and also we just know nothing about Papyrus, right?
It becomes very clear that Sans isn't originally from Undertale, but somewhere else. Maybe somewhere where he can get a sleek new fit. Wait, what? Who?
Hey!
We all know Sans loves himself a hoodie. The blue
Oh god, yeah, I knew it. Yep, there's the sponsor.
Oh
Oh my god! Hey, everybody, it's me, the Everywhere store. Of course, it's a Poppy Playtime selection. Doesn't Poppy Playtime just get the most like, insane amount of views ever? I still have not played a single chapter of this game for the record. Tom, do you actually care about Lily Love Braids? Is this something you actually care about?
Just brings me back to my summer days of playing as a kid. I sucked at sports. But hey, at least I can now
Spamton getting his ass beaten by Des. That's funny.
Thank you, Spamton.
Yeah,
Sadly,
thank
it
you,
doesn't look like
Spamton.
Sans is- Instead, it appears he's from Deltarune, and he used the breadcrumbs to
I want to see them explain the thing here, the Grillby's being removed.
escape. Monsters in the underground of Undertale don't bleed. Sans is the
Maybe
only-
just because Grillby's doesn't exist in Deltarune. But you see, that kind of implies that like a alternate timeline in Undertale came first, and then he hopped to Deltarune, and then he hopped to I don't, it's confusing.
Sans is the only one. But you know where monsters do bleed? Deltarune. When you're on the dinner date with Sans in Undertale, the song that plays is called It's Raining Somewhere Else. However, at the end of Deltarune Chapter 4, the song that plays is called The Place Where It Rained.
Yep.
Sans' special song ties directly to the Deltarune location. And we all know how much care and attention Toby Fox puts into the music.
Is it called The Place Where It Rained? Okay, yeah, it is. I'm just making sure. Tom. Hey, let's continue!
Of these games. And for more evidence, look no further than the exclusive interaction you can have with Sans in Undertale's Dog Casino. By making it look like it snows, Sans says, putting down presents for everyone. Papyrus, the yellow kid, the antlered girl, and her big sis.
Papyrus, like monster kid, I guess? The antlered girl and her big sis. We know from one of the Gaster followers that there is a version of Susie in Undertale, so the antlered girl and her big sis very much could be a Noelle and a December that exists in Undertale.
The yellow kid is Chris with their yellow...
What? The yellow kid! I love picturing the idea of Sans going up to Chris. Granted, they've known each other for years, okay? Keep it in mind that Sans knew Chris ever since they were a wee little lad, right? And how do you describe this person that you've known for years and years in your life? Oh, you know, the yellow kid. The yellow kid.
Skin, the antlered girl is Noelle, and her big sis is dead.
Yes! Okay, so immediately, I don't think that is talking about. I don't think that's talking about Chris, but whatever. Look, I could still be wrong about this, right? Maybe Sans is talking about his time in Deltarune, but it doesn't really feel like it.
You can't go back. And the only way to try is by creating determination. Right after the moment we're given the bread by Sans, we head to meet Noelle, which leads to the whole glitching through the Matrix thing and skipping to Chapter 7. But what is actually happening here? It's hard to say for sure.
We're going to the depths.
Says let's go somewhere no one has gone before. But I do think it's interesting that we have Chris.
It's weird that she says no one's gone there, kind of implying that she hasn't seen anyone in her life enter the bunker ever, because people have definitely entered the depths and the bunker, and it's easy to say that, oh yeah, Des is 100% in the depths, she drowned in the lake and she ended up there. I find that interesting.
A human containing our soul, and Noelle, a monster who is also gaining a soul of some kind. Now think back to Undertale. There, monsters were sealed in the underground, only able to break the barrier and transcend to the surface if they used the souls of a human and a monster. That is what we're seeing happen now in Deltarune.
Yeah, they're paralleling each other.
Noelle have souls, and so their determination is helping them to transcend to an upper plane. Maybe the one we've talked about before, the angel's heaven.
Yeah, this whole concept is where like Crisel and that theory came from.
I'm not sure what that is. All we theorized is that we are in some way the angels, the ones controlling these souls. And so
multiple angels, but yes,
where the control is coming
could be one of them, because banishing the angels' heaven would be banishing us.
We saw WD Gaster performing before the events of Undertale. Gaster, for those Deltarune is part of the experiments that we saw WD Gaster performing before the events of Undertale. Gaster, for those of you who don't know, was the royal scientist within the Undertale universe before the events of the game. He does have a chance to appear in the game, depending on certain in-game values that you're assigned, but by the time the game happens, he has mostly disappeared, appearing to have shattered across time and space. But before that, he was running experiments on determination, the key driving force behind our character in Undertale and the monster's only way to break the barrier.
Are you sure? Wasn't Alphys the one that was experimenting with determination? Or maybe Gaster was doing it before, yeah, like you said, before he shattered, and then Alphys picked up the pieces trying to figure it out.
Leading to the creation of the Goner characters, monsters that have been corrupted by determination. In the secret lab, you can find notes about his experiments, but there's one that's missing. Entry 17. If you hack the game, you...
I don't think that Gaster wrote the entry logs in the True Lab. Again, wasn't that Alphys?
Can access this journal entry, which is written in Wingdings, hence WD Gaster. But when translated, it says this: darker.
Like, the fact that entry number 17 is written in Wingdings and all the other entries are perfectly fine English, I think that's kind of all the clarification we need.
Yet darker. The darkness keeps growing, the shadows cutting deeper.
Is that so?
Negative. This next experiment seems very
interesting.
What do you
two think?
The noise you hear during the...
This actually could be Chris and Noelle at this point. I feel like we've gotten to the point in the story that we have narrowed down two candidates. When I first started playing Deltarune on this channel, I originally thought that it was talking about the soul and Kara, because Kara stuck with us throughout Undertale, right? So that's what my brain stuck with. I also like the idea of it being Sans and Papyrus with Gaster, but definitely I can see it being Chris and Noelle during a weird route. Or who knows, maybe it's the hometown butcher and ERAM, right?
Can actually be heard if you use your phone in the Dark World in Deltarune. And in the intro sequence for Deltarune, a character speaks to us, and their speech pattern seems very similar to Gaster's. But alongside that, the file is called Goner Maker. Gaster made the Goners, and Gaster's theme plays during this sequence, implying that this is in fact Gaster who is speaking to us at the start of an experiment. These references to dark, darker yet darker, the shadows cutting like how Chris opens the dark fountains with a knife, and the references to this particular determination experiment being interesting has led the community to believe that this experiment from entry 17 is the Deltarune that we have been playing. Gaster and Undertale are the higher plane of existence above where these experiments take place.
Hey, would you look at that? Oh, device theory. I love how well you've aged.
Of Deltarune. And so, if Noelle and Chris are transcending thanks to them having the souls of a human and a monster, there's a good chance they end up in Undertale in Chapter 7, leaving behind a...
we're going down this route. Oh, fellas, we've got the Depths is Undertale theorist here. Oh, no. Would it be kind of cool if the Depths were Undertale and that they're taking Asgore and Undyne and Toriel and all these Undertale characters into the Depths to recreate Undertale? Sure. Does it make any sense? Not really. Like, yeah, I can see the vision. Deltarune is above Undertale in the layers of fiction. You go down below, you fall down Mount Ebott, you end up in Undertale. That is where we be, right? But... the people we've been kidnapping into the bunker have been royalty, and very, very clearly stated that they are sacrifices. I don't know if they're gonna bring up the people that were kidnapped to then layer down this theory that we're going into Undertale, but let's just see what he has to say.
If Noelle and Chris are transcending thanks to them having the souls of a human and a monster, there's a good chance they end up in Undertale in Chapter 7, leaving behind a breadcrumb trail for Sans to follow, taking him to the world of Undertale before the events of that game.
I mean, then what's the freaking timeline jumping machine for? Is it just there for fun? How can Sans go into Undertale through following the breadcrumbs? And then also magically his house appears and his brother appears. Fine. If we can, let's say we say Papyrus is the one building the timeline jumping machine. All of a sudden Sans disappears and Papyrus is like a genius, I guess. He builds the time jumping machine and off he goes to Undertale. They both showed up together, didn't they? I don't know, bro. This theory is weird, man.
At least that's where I was going to leave this episode. I figured it was a pretty solid endpoint before the next chapter. Chris and Noelle are heading to Undertale, and Sans was originally from Deltarune. The weird route is showing us that Matt was actually on the right track with his original Sans' Nest theory. Deltarune just didn't exist at the time, so he did the only logical thing and connected it to the other franchise that Toby Fox took a lot of inspiration from. But the more I looked into Sans, the more I realized that yes, he's from somewhere that isn't Undertale, we all agree on that, but it's not Deltarune either. You see, when you first meet Sans in Deltarune, he says that he's new in town. Now, we know that Sans is a very good liar. In Undertale, he consistently uses jokes and casualness as a front for him knowing more than he lets on. So him claiming to be new in town could very well just be him lying. But Susie actually confirms this part of his story, saying that the house itself is also new and not being able to remember what came before.
Interesting. Trying to remember what this was. Maybe this is trying to imply a connection with like the Eggman, right? The forgotten guy. Because inside Sans and Papyrus' house is the room between, right? Gaster's green, that theory. So maybe when Gaster started the program inside of Deltarune and, erased Man Country, the layer below Deltarune, what used to exist. So essentially when Gaster shows up, the man who you could say is like Deltarune's Gaster is forgotten, and in tandem, the memories that people had of this house and in general, I guess Sans and Papyrus were more or less forgotten. I don't know how long Hobetown has existed as a place. Of course, for us, it's only been a couple days because we're going off of what we see, but we don't know how long this area has existed in general. So it's hard to say how long Sans has been here if he says he's new here, even though I wouldn't believe that.
When you look at the house, something else stands out about it. It's identical to his house in Undertale. While we've seen plenty of characters repeat from Undertale to Deltarune, they've always had distinct differences, like their personalities,
except Sans and well, we don't know
things like
Papyrus.
their houses. But Sans isn't different or even similar. It's the exact same house. Almost much like we're told in Undertale, he just showed up one day and asserted himself into the world, transporting the house along with him, because even the house is considered to be new, just like Sans. In that first conversation with Sans about him being new, he also does another one of his classic Sansisms, where he says, considering we've never met before, and then winks. This is a classic sign that Sans is lying, knowing more than what he's saying. In Chapter 4, he also actively stops Toriel from going to look for Chris and Susie, telling her that they're just fine. And in Chapter 5, when he refused to give you ice cream,
why would he
if
do
you
that?
look really carefully, there is an ice cream there. A suspiciously Gaster Blaster-shaped ice cream.
Gaster Blaster? It looks more like an Asgore to me. You know, you have like the head and like the horns. I guess because this like jaw part, this could also just be like a body. Like this is the head, that's the head, and then this is the body. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Gaster Blaster, fine.
He does know us. Not because he's from here, but because he's been part of Gaster's team since before the existence of Deltarune.
Sans is a part of the Roaring group chat?
He was a serial killer who bragged about killing people.
He was that, bruh. If he wanted you out of there, he'll go do it himself on feet by himself.
Vaughn gave me a lot of passes. He could have killed me a couple times.
I was happy as hell when I found out Vaughn was dead. I cooked for the whole day.
Theorized before that Sans is actually a scientist working for Gaster. His signature weapon is a Gaster Blaster, so duh. But Sans also has an interest in science. He has a history with the current royal scientist Aphex. A bunch of entries in the secret lab are also written in entirely lowercase, which is how Sans speaks in the game. When Gaster says, "What do you two think?"
I wouldn't look into it like that deeply. I'm not sure if the fonts change in the different entries in the True Lab, but I still think those are written by Alphys.
In entry 17, he's referring to Aphex and Sans.
Oh, now that's a take. Huh. Again, we're kind of like brushing Papyrus aside for no reason, but okay, fine.
So,
sure.
I'm proposing that the reason Sans knows so much about Deltarune in Undertale and why he's present in this game is not because he's a local, but because he used his space manipulation powers to transplant himself and his home inside the experiment.
They have a time-jumping machine, but okay.
In Sans' home in Undertale, we see a broken machine, and Toby Fox seemed to imply that they could never fix it. I believe that this machine is likely what Sans used to transport himself and his home between the world of Undertale and Deltarune, only for it to break after the final events of Deltarune upon his final return. Deltarune is Gaster's experiment to see if determination can be formed, if they can choose their own destiny. If he's going to succeed, he needs to make sure that Chris, or more importantly, we, stay on track. Sans gives Chris the bread to form a trail of crumbs so that they can track what's about to happen within the experiment. Right after that, the human and the monsters...
Well, I don't think they would need the breadcrumbs necessarily to keep an eye on them. It's very obvious that Gaster has been in control of everything we've been doing this entire time. I'm sure he has access to the depths in the lake and
Souls
stuff.
transcend. A true showing of determination. And that is what Gaster has been after. This
yeah, it's true. It's true that determination was like a very big aspect of Undertale. But I feel like we haven't brought up determination a lot, if at all, throughout the entirety of Deltarune. It's been a lot more Shadow Crystal focused, right? Shaman reveals to us that the Shadow Crystals are just broken dreams. And I'm not too sure how they can connect that into what happens in the Weird Route and whatever the hell will end up in Chapter 7. But hey, like if we fight Susie or something in the Weird Route, where listen, we broke her dreams, I'll tell you that for damn sure.
This is the turning point for the experiment, and if it worked like in Earthbound, these breadcrumbs will allow Sans and Gaster to keep returning to this moment again and again to repeat the experiment as much as they need to.
They're gonna
It's
torment
no
our
secret that
asses.
Sans hates humans. He says so a few times, going as far as to say to Frisk that if he hadn't promised Toriel to protect humans, you'd be dead where you stand. Of course, the hatred of humans is expected in the world of Undertale. The humans banished them to the underground. There's gonna be some emotions that go with that. But in Deltarune, Sans is nice to Chris, a human. He even tells us to take it easy. So something between then and now changes his outlook on humans. And it's the weird route. The weird route is full of violence, much like the genocide route where he revealed his hatred for us. Sans is seeing firsthand the destruction we are causing through Chris. All the monsters we destroy with no care. And that is going to lead to Sans's hatred of humans, or more specifically, humans with soul and determination.
I want a Sans fight.
Given the choice, they will always choose.
It's tricky. It's tricky with the weird route though, because there's so many fights that can happen in it, but knowing it's like going to be the length of an entire chapter, who knows? A Rousey fight is pretty due. A Susie fight is pretty due. A Gaster fight, a friend fight. There's a lot of fights that need to happen. Sans being one of them would be cool. Papyrus? I don't know, man. Hype moments and aura is all I could really ask for.
Violence. Fun fact. In the Undertale soundtrack, there's a song called The Song That Might Play When You Fight Sans.
This is true.
Never shows up. There is zero chance of it showing up when you play the game or when you fight Sans. But if It's Raining Somewhere Else was foreshadowing Deltarune, maybe this song is doing the same thing.
I actually like that concept quite a bit. Using this track as like if we fought Sans in Deltarune, this would be the song that would play, the song that might play when you fight Sans. In general, there's a lot of old Toby songs that would be pretty cool to see. I personally love Megalo's Strike Back. It just sounds sick, like what can I say? It would be pretty full circle if we use this.
Chapter 7 Side B, we are going to end up fighting Sans, who, despite being there to keep things on track, doesn't want to see us all go down this road. He doesn't like seeing where determination leads, and if it's successful, Gaster would put the whole of Undertale on the same path. Gaster would put the whole of Undertale on the same path. During the fight, his machine will likely be damaged, only offering him one more trip to Undertale before it's broken for good. That is why Sans writes "Don't forget" on the punch.
Wait, what?
His machine will likely be damaged, only offering him one more trip to Undertale before it's broken for good. That is why Sans writes "Don't forget" on the punch card, so he can always remember the route that Chris took and what they did, how they revealed the true nature of determination.
Not really. The point of the postcard is so he doesn't forget his friends. I know you said, oh, but the three people instead of the 4 people, it's the same thing. I wouldn't say it's because Sans is trying to remember the weird route necessarily, but okay, fine. So his take is that Gaster, through his insane effort of trying to learn more about determination and to like get more of it, he's essentially sacrificing everyone and everything in his life to destroy the world practically to get the determination. And then when he sees that it's successful in Deltarune, he will then do the same thing in Undertale. I don't know, bro.
Sadly, that means we're still none the wiser as to where Sans was originally from. My bad.
Hey, you know what? I'll actually agree with you there, Tom, because I'm trying to come up with like a solid reasoning as to why I feel iffy about this final statement, but I don't really have that much of a clue. Maybe someone that's much better with the lore than me can have an idea in the comments, and I'd be very curious to see the sort of discussion around this theory. But yeah, that's basically it, I think.
That's what I sold this whole episode on. But I do think what we found today is really interesting. And wherever he is from, he doesn't see any way of going back, and whatever happened there, it led him to just appear in Undertale one day. Maybe wherever it was also destroyed by that same determination. And now he's begun studying, working with people like Gaster to make sure it doesn't destroy anything else ever again.
I like this concept quite a bit, actually. That sands came from somewhere before Deltarune, and they want to get rid of our access to the game. The experiment, right, is to banish the angel, is to get rid of us for good, so the sort of violence and torment of the soul can end. I actually quite like that. That's cool.
Maybe Matt was right, and he is just Ness. But hey, that's
This had no connection to the Sans' nest theory.
just a
The neck, my Girona.
A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Doesn't have the same ring to it, man. Okay, well, that was game theory. What is Sans? So how would I rank that theory on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, why don't we break it down into 3 different categories, right? Quality, the pacing, the structure, the editing, the objective things that make a video good. Were they here? I'd say so. It has that classic game theory editing, the PNGs and how they move around, and the things that were needed to be shown were shown, and they showed it well. Everything was visually represented how it should have been. I'll give it like, it's not like the most amazing thing in the world. It's like a 7. Now, research. How much research did they do while making this theory? Were all of their calls and all the ways they connected the dots together, were they accurate to what happens in the game? Ah, man. From freaking, oh god. From calling the weird route punch card the canon one by saying one has 3, one has 4, and that just being wrong, to the Sans Xbox dialogue where he talks about the yellow kid being Chris, and even the little things like saying that Deltarune was referencing Earthbound when it was Mother 1. It's garbage research. It was really bad. It was really bad. Like, I still kind of appreciate the ideas they came up with, and some of the ideas weren't the worst thing in the world. The concepts and where they sort of wanted the story to go did have some aspect of it that was like, you know, cool. But man, that research was just bad. It really wasn't hard for me to contradict the stuff they got wrong. Like just one proofread and it's just out the window. All like half of the points in this video are out the window just from one tiny little proofread. Really not good. And enjoyability. I mean, again, the final sort of theory, the idea they came up with, I did like it, but so much of this video is held back by, it just kind of feels like a lack of care almost. When it comes to a channel like Game Theory, the host is now long gone. They have these consistent weekly videos that they have to put out no matter what without missing a beat at any point, even if they get something wrong or they don't fully flesh out a point, they just need to get a theory out. It makes the videos feel more like a cog in a wheel. They're just churning instead of really having a connection to what they're talking about. Did MatPat have a connection to the work that he discussed? I want to say so, but I can't guarantee that, right? But it makes it hard to enjoy. I don't know. I feel like we're just making a theory for the sake of making a theory and not because like, oh, this is something that Tom actually came up with. This is a concept that he needs to go and share with the world and tell people. Instead of it being like, okay, I did like a bit of research and I connected a couple of the dots and looked at, oh, MatPat, guys, you guys remember MatPat, right? And the Sans' nest. Oh, please watch the video, please. I tend to like most things. I have a high tolerance when it comes to things like slop, I guess is how you could describe it. Theory slop. It was like a 5. It was fine. Obviously, the research and the things they got wrong holds it back. I didn't hate the video. It's just wrong. Overall, yeah, I'm sorry, bro. That's like a 4 out of 10. That's a 4 out of 10 video right there. Not your best work, guys. I would try to make amends with the community and come up with concepts that make just a little bit more sense. You could run it back. You could come up with more theories and more ideas. I know you've already done 2 in the last like month. We're living in a very different era now. Back when Undertale and FNAF were just releasing, people only really watched channels like Game Theory. It wasn't very open, the idea of watching other theorists, other creators, when it came to game theorization. At least when I was on YouTube, it felt like that. I never really had the algorithm push me different theories or different ideas. Maybe 1 or 2 other people, but not like now. Now, modern YouTube, if you come up with a good idea and you make the video and you put it out there, it will be shown to the people that are interested in theory-based content. So we don't need this like one-stop shop for every theory in the world because everything has been sort of niched, boiled down to its core niche, and the people in that core niche are damn good at making theories for the audience. So overall, not their best work, kinda just a nothing burger of a video. Well, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all being here. I actually want to look at more Deltarune theories from the past, see what they got right, what they got wrong, how they hold up with the new information we got from chapter 5. It's also kind of the last time we can do this sort of theorization while we don't have all the information. Chapter 6 is going to reveal so much that I feel like going back to those old theories, you can still be like, oh, look what he got right and got wrong, but there won't be as much room as there is now to come up with ideas. Toby said it himself. I believe his word. If you guys have any interest in that, let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out my other content if you want, and I'll see you around.